Hi, I'm Dr. Kelly Brogan, and today I'd like to talk about one of the more profoundly important issues related to informed consent around psychiatric medication and even public health safety at large. And this has to do with the violence-inducing effects of psychotropics. So you may think that this is just a conspiracy theory or some sort of associative relationship, and you may not know that there's actually quite incriminating scientific evidence linking causally these medications to impulsive acts of violence. There's even a known mechanism called akathisia-induced impulsivity. And the trouble is that we don't have a means of properly or routinely identifying those who are at risk. So please share this widely. Please make sure that everyone considering psychiatric medication is aware of the published science identifying these risks.
It started with a feeling of having this deep sense of inner restlessness, and I just couldn't stop pacing. It was all day, all night long. I was rocking, I was pacing, I was moaning. It was so incredibly, it was suffering beyond all belief. I kept showing up at the ER, and no one could tell me what was going on with me. I had absolutely no idea why I was in so much agony. It wasn't until, probably 4 months of just relentless inner torment and physical agony and nonstop pacing that I just thought that perhaps I should see a neurologist, and that's when I was diagnosed with having akathisia caused by withdrawal from Klonopin.
His parents made this recording.
Okay.
I can't do this. There's nothing to do.
Just relax and just let
I don't want to.
Just go to sleep, honey.
I can't.
It's 11:30 now.
There's nothing to help me sleep.
They wanted to show all the people they'd trusted to help them with their son just what they were up against.
You took your sleeping bag, right?
Don't do it.
What's that?
You don't do it.
Well, you got to relax, okay?
But I can't relax.
Okay, just
I don't
relax.
have anything to do. Help me.
You'll be okay, Christine. It'll pass. Come here. It'll pass. It'll pass.
Hello, my name is Douglas Block. I'm an author and depression survivor. Welcome to your Depression Recovery channel, where each week we talk about practical tools and coping strategies for healing from depression and anxiety. The title of today's talk is A Deadly Side Effect of Antidepressants. Despite this grim title, I always like to start off with a little humor. And here it is. A doctor gave a patient 6 months to live. The patient couldn't pay his bill, so the doctor gave him another 6 months. So let's talk about today's topic. As you know, in this channel, I talk about treating your depression and anxiety holistically by using a combination of mutually supportive therapies. One of the most common therapies used is the taking of an antidepressant, which is the treatment of choice for most psychiatrists and family doctors. If you went to your shrink or your primary care physician and said you were feeling down and blue, he or she would most likely prescribe an antidepressant, and in some cases the drug will help. But there is a darker shadow side of antidepressants that until recently has not been well publicized. It's called akathisia, and until recently it hasn't been well publicized. I'm going to read a passage from my book, Healing from Depression, that shows how akathisia manifests and how it happened in my life when I took an SSRI antidepressant. Like epileptic seizures, a series of frenzied anxiety attacks would descend upon me without warning. My body was possessed by a chaotic, demonic force, which led to my shaking, pacing, and violently hitting myself across the chest or in the head. The word agitation was the closest I could come to describing the feeling of wanting to jump out of my skin. To give you a second example of akathisia, I want to refer to a New York Times article that just came out. It was called "Lawsuit Over a Suicide Points to a Risk of Antidepressants." The article tells a tragic story of a Chicago lawyer who took an SSRI antidepressant, developed akathisia, and 5 days later jumped in front of a train to his death. The night before, he was having dinner with his wife, and he was so agitated he was jiggling his legs under the table and could hardly sit still. I read this and I jumped up myself because this is exactly what was happening to me when I would sit down to eat with my partner Joan. My legs would go up and down, up and down, up and down. I couldn't sit still. I had the exact same symptom. In addition, a nonprofit foundation called MISSD has been created, whose purpose is to raise awareness and educate the public about akathisia and how to prevent it. I went into this much detail in describing akathisia because when I first experienced it in 1996, it was not a diagnosable condition. I remember my psychiatrist telling me, "That's impossible. You can't be this agitated after taking this antidepressant in a small dose only once." But he was wrong. I was agitated. I felt I was going crazy, actually, because first I was crazy, and second, no one would believe me. Yet that agitation almost caused me to jump in front of a bus or leap off of a cliff. Fortunately, as I describe in my memoir, actually not my memoir, my video, How I Cope with Suicidal Thoughts and Feelings, I didn't jump off a cliff because I was afraid of heights. A little bit of dark humor there. But it was only through the grace of God that I actually survived this time because, again, there was nothing that anybody could do about my condition. Many years later, I finally came across an article published by a pharmaceutical company that defined akathisia, warned doctors that it was a possible side effect of antidepressants, and said it was a potential risk for suicide. In fact, the drug pharmacist wrote that the symptoms are so distressing that patients may feel that death is a welcome result. Now, what I want to know is what took them so long to get at this information. After hearing me describe the dangers of akathisia, you might think that I am recommending that nobody take antidepressants. This is not true because I have found actually a safe way of trying out antidepressants that greatly reduces the risk of akathisia. The technique is called titrating, and it was introduced to me by a psychiatrist up at Oregon Health Sciences University, our local medical school. Titrating is really very simple. Let's say that a psychiatrist prescribes you Paxil at a starting dose of 10 milligrams. What you do is you get a pill cutter and simply cut it in half. Now you have 2 doses of 5 milligrams. Then you take each of those halves and cut them again. Now you have 4 doses of 2.5 milligrams. So what I recommend is you start at 2.5 milligrams. Now that may seem like an infinitesimal dose, but there are some people who are so sensitive that that still may have an effect. Take it 3 or 4 days. If you don't feel any negative side effects, go up to 5 milligrams. Do that for 4 more days. Feel okay, go up to 7.5 milligrams, and so on. Of course, you should do all of this under the supervision of a psychiatrist or whoever is prescribing your medication. Maybe it's a nurse practitioner or a primary care physician, and get their permission. I don't think he or she would really object. Just explain that you're titrating in order to avoid the possibility of having an adverse drug effect. And you're willing to do this even if it takes longer to increase the dose, get up to speed, and reach a therapeutic dose. In summary, I hope that I have alerted you to a potentially dangerous side effects of taking antidepressants called akathisia and have shown you how to protect yourself from it. I still think that taking an antidepressant, the benefit of that is worth the risk as long as you control for that risk. Remember, start at a very tiny dose and build up slowly. This has been Douglas Block. I hope you've enjoyed this video and learned something from it. If you have learned something from it, give it a like. You can also leave your comment in the comments section or email me, douglasblock@gmail.com. If you want to subscribe to this channel, just click on my photo in the closing credits. You'll be taken to the subscribe page. If you want to visit my website, healingfromdepression.com, click on the book Healing from Depression. And if you want to watch the videos shown, just click on those. And until we meet again, I wish you the best in your mental health recovery. Thank you so much.